Okay, let's dive into the playbook of one of the most influential, yet kind of unknown, figures in modern business history. We're talking about a guy who helped create over a trillion with a T, trillion dollars in value at companies like Apple and Google. And he did it all while staying completely out of the spotlight.
You know, Fortune magazine wasn't kidding when they called him Silicon Valley's best kept secret. See, he wasn't some coding genius or a visionary founder. Nope, he was a former football coach who became the secret weapon for tech's greatest icons, from Steve Jobs all the way to the Google founders. So, who was this guy? Well, this is the story of Bill Campbell. And we're going to get into how he quietly, almost invisibly, shaped the most successful companies in the world by focusing on one simple yet incredibly powerful idea. To really truly get a feel for his impact, all you have to do is look at who showed up to his memorial service back in 2016. And yeah, the financial numbers are just staggering. And listen, that trillion-dollar figure, that's probably a lowball estimate. Bill was right there, side by side with Steve Jobs, pulling Apple back from the brink of bankruptcy. He was in the room with the Google team, helping them build it into a global powerhouse. But honestly, the real story here isn't just about the money. The crowd at his memorial was literally a who's who of tech royalty. I mean, you had Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Tim Cook, Jeff Bezos, Sheryl Sandberg. I mean, the people who basically run our digital world all gathered on a football field, of all places, to honor their coach. And get this, sitting right behind the CEO of Apple was a guy named Bruno Fortizal, Bill's regular caddy from his vacation spot in Cabo. Right next to him, waiters, drivers, old football teammates. And that scene, right there, it tells you everything you need to know about his core belief. Everyone deserves respect. Everybody is important. So what was this big philosophy? Well, the foundation of his coaching was, and this might surprise you, shockingly simple. It wasn't about complicated business strategies or some kind of breakthrough tech. It was about the people. That's it. He believed deep in his bones that a manager's number one job isn't about the product or the profits, it's about their people. And look, this wasn't some feel-good, fluffy idea. It was a hardcore business strategy. Bill proved that the well-being and success of your people is the single biggest driver of a company's success, period. He basically boiled this down into his own manifesto. He had this saying, your title makes you a manager, but your people make you a leader. So the whole game was to create this environment, one built on total support, real respect, and unwavering trust, where amazing people could just be let loose to do their best work. Okay, so how did he actually do it? How do you put that kind of philosophy into action day to day? Because for Bill, this was never just talk. He had a specific, actionable playbook for making teams click. When it came to making the big calls, he absolutely hated consensus. He would literally growl, "I hate consensus," because he thought it just led to weak, watered-down compromises and groupthink. So instead, he used this model. The process was super clear. First, get every single opinion out on the table. Then, encourage a real, honest, even passionate debate. And finally, the manager makes the call. They break the tie. The goal was never to get everyone to agree. It was to get the best idea out there and then have everyone, and I mean everyone, commit to it 100%. No passive aggression, just full commitment. And oh, man, when it came to feedback, he was brutally honest. He wasn't going to wait for your quarterly performance review. No way. He'd pull you aside and give you feedback right there, in the moment. But his candor always worked. And here's the secret. It was always coupled with this deep, genuine care. You always knew he was kicking your butt because he wanted to make you better. Now, this is really crucial to understand. None of these plays, none of his tactics worked in a vacuum. They were all built on one single foundational element, what you could really call his superpower. Bill built what one executive called an envelope of trust. That was the currency he operated in. Trust was everything. It meant you kept your word, you were loyal, you were dead honest. It was the absolute bedrock of every single relationship he had. And he built this trust with a very specific set of behaviors. First, he only coached the coachable, people who were honest and humble enough to listen. Second, he practiced what's called free-form listening. When he was with you, he was with you. Phone away, complete undivided attention. You mattered. And finally, he was an evangelist for courage, pushing you to be bolder because he saw potential in you that you probably didn't even see in yourself.
So all of this leads to what I think is the most important takeaway from Bill Campbell's entire legacy. See, it's not just about sitting back and admiring what this one guy did, it's about what we can do right now. Bill's ultimate goal wasn't just to be a great coach himself, it was to teach other people how to do it. He truly believed that coaching isn't some specialty anymore. To be a good manager today, you have to be a good coach. It's an absolutely essential, non-negotiable part of the job. He taught us that coaching isn't some magical skill that only outsiders have. It is the fundamental job of a modern leader. So the next time you're facing a tough decision or a difficult conversation at work, the lesson from Silicon Valley's secret coach is to pause and ask yourself one simple question. What would the coach do?